India has etched its name in history books after it comfortably beat host England by 270 runs in the first ever women's test held at the iconic Lords. This is the Indian side's fourth win against the English in tests and the third on English soil. The match, which ended before lunch on day 4, will be remembered for pacer Kranti Gaud's 5-wicket haul and Yastika Bhatia's century. Both Indians became the first women entrants into the honours boards at the Lord's Pavilion. With me on the broadcast is my colleague Siddharth Rege. Siddharth, of course, history being created at Lord's. Indian women's cricket team once again making all 1.4 billion of us very proud of their achievement.
Absolutely, Pia. To put this in context, Lord's easily is the most iconic cricket venue when it comes to Test cricket, and it's taken 142 years for the first women's cricket test to be played at the Lords. And to win this particular game in this style, convincingly beating the host nation by 270 runs, there itself is significant. And to give our viewers further news, the star performers have been two women whose names now will be etched at the Lord's Gallery. Number one, you have Indian batsman Yastika Bhatia, the wicketkeeper batsman who scored 113 runs, and then Kranti Gaud as well, who's taken 5 wickets. There you have Sachin Tendulkar interacting with Harmanpreet Kaur and Smriti Mandhana and the women's cricket team after this historic win. Good news as far as Indian cricket as a whole is concerned, because while the men's team seems to be struggling in England, the women's cricket team has led by example and again made all 1.4 crore Indians proud by an emphatic win at an iconic venue. They now remain undefeated in England as well. While this is a historic win, it's also something that was unexpected, because ground, especially the Lord's ground, is something that is known for its pacers, and the way the Indian pacers have held their lines and lengths at this venue is heartening to see. Great times coming ahead for Indian cricket, Indian women's cricket particularly, for sure.
Absolutely, Siddharth. Also with us on the broadcast is Mr. Shekhar Vijayan, who is a cricket scholar. Sir, thank you for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX. Of course, the Indian women's cricket team once again scripting history, this time at the Lord's Pavilion. It's perhaps the most iconic cricket ground in the entire world, and we've won this test series by 270 runs. What has been some of the standout moments, some of the standout performances for you?
Thank you for having me over, and I think it's a historical moment in Indian cricket. See, this is not just a victory, this is India's arrival at the home of cricket. For decades, Lords symbolized cricket's greatest traditions. Today, India has written a new chapter in the history. When I was witnessing the first ever women's test at Lords, it isn't just another overseas victory. It's also a big statement that Indian women's cricket is now setting global standards, not merely chasing them. Today, Lords didn't just witness history, it witnessed India's dominance. This win also proves that Indian women's cricket does not depend on one or two superstars. It was it was a performance from the entire team. Yastika Gupta produced a historic century. Kranti Gaud's performance with the bowling was very good, and every department contributed. There were catches were taken, fielding was done, and that's what championship teams are. So great teams don't just produce heroes and heroines, but great systems produce heroes and heroines, and that's what was written here. Now the biggest challenge right now goes back to the field, not in the field, but in the boardroom. So one historical test win is wonderful, but will women's test cricket team now receive more fixtures, better scheduling, sustained investment? I think the administrators here have to truly believe in this format. Today, they must also make sure this is not just a beginning, this is not just a flash in the pan. They should believe that this is the status operandi. This is not just a headline. India has done its job on the field. Now you also need the administrators to back them and also support them, because this is great. History has been created, The real question is, will cricket build on it or just simply celebrate it? We should celebrate it. We should celebrate it with a lot of gust and with a lot of gust. But I think what's also important is, how do we make sure this is cricket builds on it, and how do we make sure that there is more opportunities in the future too. I think it's very interesting. I think it's a watershed moment for Indian women's cricket team, and we really should celebrate it. But what's also important is to learn from this and keep moving forward and getting more opportunities for us to shine more and more. Congratulations to the Indian women Test cricket team. I think it's a wonderful moment for India today.
Absolutely, Mr. Vijayan, as you mentioned, it's very important to sustain this momentum. Of course, we've seen the Indian women's cricket team create history in the 2025 ODI World Cup, and now at Lords as well. How far will this go if the investment is sustained, if the effort is sustained in inspiring young girls across the country?
It will go a long way. I always believe that the Indian women's team, be it in ODI, be it in Test or T20, is a very interesting team. It's a team which does not depend on one or two superstars, one or two cricketers. It's a team which works like a team. And whenever they are given the chance, they've always delivered. I think we need to be a little more patient with them. We need to have the right infrastructure for them. We need to have the right coaching for them. We need to also encourage them and strengthen them wherever possible. They have delivered, and I think what's important is for the administrators to back them and say, we are going to be a wingman, a wingwoman for this entire journey. I think that's going to be important because we know that they're capable of this and much more. And this win is a historical moment because it's at one of the most enigmatic, one of the most glorious, and one of the most interesting grounds in the world, which is Lords. So tradition starts from there and ends there. And the fact that the Indian women Test cricket team has done it and created history there is a moment for us, all of us, to celebrate, and for all of us to also create systems by which we could encourage them and make sure we celebrate them more often. It should not just be this moment today, but also for more moments in the future. And I believe that there is so much of talent there, which is not just from the big towns or big cities, but from the smaller towns, the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. That's where the real talent lies. So I think it's very important to identify talent, very important to identify future leaders, and very important to encourage them, very important to nurture that talent. That's going to be important. And get the systems in place to make sure that this talent which we have is really taken care of and the ecosystem is created to celebrate it and to also make sure that the talents, that their abilities, their skill sets are utilized well. I think it's a great moment.
Absolutely. With that, I would like to thank you, Mr. Shekhar Vijayan, for taking time sharing your, of course, elation as well as assessment of where exactly Indian women's cricket is headed. On that note, viewers, we dip into a quick short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX.